Thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, let's start off really with the trade volumes we are seeing here between Nigeria and Indonesia. As of last year, it was about $2.5 billion. But so many would say more can be done. But let's start off with the highlights from the Trade Expo in Jakarta, which was held in October, and the prospects this is likely going to open up in terms of this volume of trade.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you're right. The trade balance 2021 was $2.56 billion. Yeah. Trade Expo 2022, 19th to the 23rd of October. It was great for Nigeria and African countries, and actually for the Indonesian government as well. But I want to focus more on the impact on the Nigerian. I can report authoritatively that the West African region alone did about $974 million in terms of trade transactions between that region and Indonesia. Now, the total figure as at the 23rd of October 2022 was about $2.9 billion. And you must remember that the Trade Expo, even though the physical event has ended on the 23rd, is still going online till the 9th of December. So if we have 2.9 billion by 23rd of October, you want to assume that by the end of December, probably we'll be doing about $4 billion average. That's what I can tell you.
That's quite an optimistic forecast. But now, one of the elements we're seeing play out here, the buzzword of the season, is sustainable financing, innovative financing, infrastructure development. Now, in terms of the volume of export and import we are seeing between Indonesia and Nigeria, oil palm comes to mind, petroleum products come to mind, cotton, cocoa. How do we begin to broaden the spectrum and also impact more value chains, especially when we are looking inwards and also having more strategic lines when it comes to exports?
So I'm glad you mentioned oil palm. For me, I'm very pro-Nigerian, and I'm not subscribing really to any kind of exportation of the kernels. What I want to see more, which is what we were doing in Indonesia actually, is asking the profession of the experts in Indonesia to come down to Nigeria.
Knowledge transfer.
Exactly, knowledge transfer. And actually, we had very positive outcome in that field. Now, Akwa Ibom is one, Edo State is one, and other private players in the Southwest. In April, May 2023, we are expecting almost like a retaliatory effect, about 40 Indonesian companies coming to Nigeria and actually exploring more trade opportunities and investment opportunities. So I want to see more of a value chain drive where we're not really actually selling commodities to the European, Indonesian, Asian market. I want to see more in terms of Nigerians, the Bank of Industry, the private sector-led organizations, putting their money where their mouth is and actually investing more in the local content. So, for example, cocoa, develop the value chain. Oil palm, develop the value chain. Coconut plantation, develop that value chain. And that's the way I believe that, because at the end of the day, we want to create that forex. It's great that we're looking for foreign direct investment, but we can create that investment ourselves. And what I mean is that if we do more in terms of harnessing the opportunities locally, taking the raw material from the farms and processing them, cassava to food-grade starch, palm kernels to oil palm, we can be exporting these items and actually getting forex as inflow. And the opportunities are endless, actually.
Irrespective of how much of a big pool of investment opportunities there are, Mr. Balogun, we also have to face the reality that we are dealing with the world economy now getting more fragmented. Africa is saying, well, we have to look inwards and concentrate our efforts. But for Nigeria, the peculiarities of insecurity remain. So in terms of investment promotion and information provision to excite these markets, these elements will still play out. How do you see things shaping up in the coming days, especially as we are likely going to have another new government come to bear? How do you see things playing out in the reception we'll have from
you're right. Insecurity,
markets?
we can't dismiss it. It's real. But even during our Nigerian-Indonesian Investment and Trade Forum, it was a real conversation. And what I'm telling the investment community in Indonesia, the Foreign Ministry, the Ministry of Trade, Indonesian Kadin, that's Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, These are the community of businessmen and women looking to actually divest and invest in Africa, especially Nigeria. So insecurity is there, but it's not in every part of Nigeria. Now, we know for a fact that Indonesian companies are currently in Nigeria, and they are collaborating with local content. For example, we have Top White Ventures, a local entity, partnering with PT Timah of Indonesia, and they're producing tin in Jos, right? You have the Tolerant Group in the Lekki Free Trade Zone, partnering with Kellogg's of America, and they're doing the conflict series and all that. You have Wings in Agbara, and there's so much more. You have PT Wika as well, partnering with Quint Energy in Nigeria as well. So end result is day in, day out, you have Indonesian companies and other foreigners in the same Nigeria putting their money where their mouth is, and the returns on investment is quite attractive. So the conversation then goes from, do your risk assessment. As an entrepreneur myself, every business I'm going to, you do the risk analysis. Now, if we make this move, what are the gains? What are the losses? And we're not really talking about the losses if you've done enough critical analysis, right? You have the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. They have so much to offer any investor coming to Nigeria, especially from Indonesia. Now, registering your business, getting your business certification, NAFDAC, SON, all that.
Ease of doing business.
Ease of doing business. All that is available to you. Matter of fact, if you invest a certain amount of money, 100 million naira, for example, you can get a tax rebate for 3 years. If you do well in those 3 years, you can go for another 2 more years, making a total of 5 years. A lot of these investors don't know that. So Nigeria is actually ripe for investment. Everywhere else in the world, your returns of investment is probably 5-6%. This is one of the countries in the world where you can have a double-digit return on your investment. So the risk exists, but also the profit is enormous. So do your risk analysis and decide what you want to do.
We really have to demystify the risk, as you say, the perceived association with Africa. And most importantly, we also have to look more into the lines of special agro-processing zones, free trade zones, elements that would really catalyze our infrastructure base and our ability to also leverage on our areas of comparative advantages. Thank you so much for your time on the show today, Ismail Balogun. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And we look forward to more from the Nigeria-Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, that was Ismail Balogun, the president of the Nigeria-Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry.